another episode of Rags to Crypto Riches, brought to you by Bigger Than Race. Today's sponsor is SKC Live, coming straight out of Las Vegas. And we all know what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Now, I'm so excited today because I have a friend of mine who I met in Vegas. We've been trying to get this podcast shot for how long, Billy?
Almost a year.
Almost a year. It just didn't happen. I called Billy. He got sick. He called me. I had a lot going on. I was out of the country. I called him the other week. He said, I'm going to call you back. Never called me back. Here we are in Vegas, and I'm here live with Mr. Billy Womack. Now, I know you as the node guy.
Yep.
The crypto node guy, the guy who helped launch GALA Games.
Yes.
And those who don't know, GALA Games is a beast when it comes to Web3 and crypto.
They are.
Blockchain gaming. Now, but I want to start and take us back to the humble beginnings of where Billy Womack came from.
Okay.
Because now you're known, we just drove here in a beautiful,
brand new
Bentley coupe.
Yeah, GT.
GT, you got to add the GT, and it was fast. Yeah, I mean you could do a lot of things differently in the GT coupe Bentley than you would in a Mercedes AMG.
Van, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we cut all the lines in a row, but let's talk about how you got into the fast lane of crypto and where you are now. What brought you here?
To get involved in crypto. Let's rewind 8.5 years ago, 2015. I was going through a transition phase in my life at that point, and I had ups and downs in an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 24 years old. I played college basketball, Air Force, corporate America. I've owned nightclubs, restaurants, you name it, I've done it. And I was just looking for that next big thing. What could I do? And I heard a lot of people talking about Bitcoin. Back then, Bitcoin wasn't what it is today. Bitcoin was still a very controversial. Well, it's still controversial, but at that time, I think Bitcoin was $200. So I got in. I'm like a grandfather to a lot of people that's in the industry. But I posted something on social media on Facebook. Who knows anything about crypto? And everybody's like, don't do it. It's a scam. Don't do it. It's a fraud. And there was one person that said, hey, I got this guy you need to meet. And I was like, all right. He kept blowing me up. You got to meet this guy. You got to meet this guy. I'm like, all right. So I went and had lunch with him. He put me on the phone with a guy later that was going to be my first mentor in crypto. The guy was worth $100 million.
Who was that guy? Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't like to be bothered. Crypto people are very fickle.
Sure.
They're very fickle.
Yes.
So we'll leave his name out.
Okay.
I'm not sure if he wants to be out there.
Not an issue. So he was your mentor.
Yeah, and still a great friend of mine today.
So where was the transition part? Okay, you got
Hold on. Let me tell you a story. Okay. This is a fun story. This leads into it because this right here is a pivotal point. I only had. All right, so what happened was I'm sitting at lunch that day, and the guy says, let me get you on the phone with this guy. So he got him on the phone, speakerphone, and he goes, hey, listen, if you really want to learn about crypto, come with us next week to Reykjavik, Iceland. I was like, Reykjavik, Iceland. And I was like, well, that sounds expensive.
Right.
I said, what's a trip like that cost? Like $10,000 or $15,000? Yeah, something like that. Well, at the time, I only had like $4,000 in my account. So I'm thinking, damn, how do I make this thing happen? You only get one shot with people like that. So I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking, he's like, man, you can't miss this trip. You can't miss it. Everybody's going to be there from around the world. We're doing this training on how we're the 5th largest mining operation in the world. You got to be there. And I'm like, God, man, I don't have any money. I said, all right, I'll tell you what, just off the top of my head, I said, all right, I'll tell you what, why don't you give me a quota to hit for the week of these new things that we're doing, this mining, which I didn't understand. My very first conversation ever. And I said, if you give me a quota, what if I hit it and you pay for my trip? He goes, I'm sorry, I didn't know that was an option. I said, it is. You're going to want to meet me. He goes, if I had a penny for every time somebody said that. I said, you're going to want to meet me. I said, don't be scared. Give me a quota. I mean, if you're this baller, you're the guy that's the big guy. Give me a quota. So he goes, all right, hot shot. He goes, you go sell 50,000 of these S7 miners in the next 5 days. I'll pay for you to fly up and meet me. I said, what's a S7 miner? He goes, exactly. Good luck. That was it. I was like, man. So I asked this guy that introduced me. I said, what's a S7 miner? So he sat there and kind of got me up to speed on everything. Long story short, I called him back the next day. I said, hey, you need my flight information? He goes, no. He goes, I need you to go sell. I said, yeah, I did that. He said, you sold $50,000 worth of miners in 24 hours? I said, no, I sold $350,000. He goes, you're full of shit.
What year was this?
This is 15 or 16.
Interesting.
And I said, pull up your back office. He pulled up his back office. He saw the cells. He said, give me your flight information. I need to meet you.
Wow.
I was in Reykjavik, Iceland the following week, met him. The next 13 months, I was on his private jet. I was flying around. I was in 13 countries in 13 months learning cryptocurrency and mining.
Now, not to put your age out there or anything like that, because you're very youthful looking.
Yeah.
But we do know that there's an age gap in regards to crypto.
Okay.
People are scared of it. You know, they feel like, oh, I'm too old. I can't grasp this concept of technology.
Yeah.
So how old were you? You don't have to give me the exact age, but let people know, like, you weren't like a spring chicken, were you?
Listen, I'm 49 right now. I was 42. So
Okay.
41.
So thank you. He's 42. He don't look like he's 42, but he was 42 when he started this.
Yeah.
And it's never too late.
And broke. $4,000 is not a lot of money.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, 40% of America doesn't even have $500 in case of an emergency.
Yeah.
So $4,000. I mean, if you're somebody who's hungry enough, you can make something happen.
And creative enough. Most people say, I'm sorry, I don't have the money. I can't go. Let me know when you're back in. And you would have missed the experience. And when you go somewhere and you see a live mining operation that's a football field bigger in Reykjavik, Iceland, number one, and having that common bond with people from all over the world
100%.
and hearing their story of how they got started with this guy and the companies they got started with a year, 2 years earlier, and your belief level goes up. And that's the part that most people is a missing ingredient of success is belief. You have to believe that you believe that to believe that it's possible. Once you know it's possible, you can make it happen.
I tell my community all the time, Billy, that things start in the spirit world first, and then they come to fruition and manifest in the physical. If you can't see it for yourself, I'm talking to you, nobody else will. Nobody else will care. If you don't care about what you want to bring into life, nobody will care and nobody will see it. So absolutely, man. I mean, so you knew that you were going to be successful.
Within 90 days of partnering up with this individual, I started making $60,000 a month. By the end of the year, I was making six figures, sometimes every couple of weeks to a month, doing that. And I did that for several years, built a name for myself, obviously. And then everybody's sitting back watching. They're like, what the freak are you doing? We see you on private jets. We see you in Iceland. We see you in Mexico. We see you all over the world now, Dubai,
Right.
All over the place. And what are you doing? And I just told him, I said, listen, I was very fortunate to find a mentor. And that's the second thing. When you get involved with the industry, and I've had a lot of mentors in my life. I've spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on mentors. Mm-hmm. If you want the shortcut, if you want that VIP pass to the front of the line, you have to pay for a mentor. Don't be cheap. Because 90% of the people want to, like, hey, give me the information, but they don't want to pay for it.
They want freebies.
They want freebies. You can't
Everybody
have freebies.
wants a freebie. No free lunch.
Listen, nothing in life is free.
No.
Pay for it. You get quality. You get the cheap shit, and you get the free advice. And that's another thing. Don't take advice from anybody that's not making what you're making.
100%.
So many people like, well, my next door neighbor, my mom told me not to do this. My brother told me not to do this. I don't know. My best friend's been in blockchain for a year. He don't know anything about nodes.
Right.
I said, let me ask you a question. Are you going to go to the mechanic and ask him how to fix your mouth?
No.
No. I said, your best friend that's been in blockchain for 2 years, never heard of nodes. Wouldn't you listen to a guy that made $10 million in nodes?
100%.
I mean, that was in my first 2 years.
Now, you can learn a lot from somebody who's made money in a specific field.
Yep.
Now, you started off with S miners,
S7 miners. Yep.
S7 miners.
Yep.
And then that brought you to
Software nodes.
Software nodes, the claim to fame. The claim to fame. GALA, the galaxy of games. So, how did you get to GALA?
So what had happened was when when I got started, we were mining Bitcoin at $200, Ethereum at $67. We said, man, if Bitcoin ever gets to $10,000, we're rich. We're done. It got to $20,000. We were making a ton of money, having fun. But then for those that's been in crypto for a while, they understand it dropped down to $3,000.
Yes.
And it stayed there for a full year. It was crypto winter. That company went under. They had some legal issues as well. And the guy was polite enough, nice enough to introduce me to his mentor, who was ridiculously successful, 10 times over. He was one of the original miners, one of the biggest miners in the United States solely. And he said, listen, and we courted each other, meaning I flew back and forth and saw him up in Utah. He explained what he's getting ready to launch. He said, we're going to build the largest blockchain development company in the world. We're going to have every different industry. It's going to be a plug and play. We're going to build this massive infrastructure, and we're looking for someone like you. I'm like, wow, that's pretty powerful. I was like, okay, tell me more. So I flew back and forth from Tampa, where I lived for years, from 25 years, to Utah. And finally, the day come, I was living in Tampa, June 2019. He said, can you be in Vegas in 3 days? Now I live in Vegas, but at that time I was in Tampa. He said, can you be in Vegas in 3 days? I got somebody I need to introduce you to. Eric Schumacher, founder of MySpace, went on to create and be the co-founder of Zynga, which was the largest capital raise in the history of Silicon Valley.
One of the biggest gaming companies in the world.
The biggest.
Yes.
$9.6 billion they raised from Silicon Valley. Took that to Zuckerberg.
Creators of Farmville.
They created Zynga Poker, the first game ever on Facebook. Words with Friends, Mafia Wars, Farmville 1, 2, and 3. They collectively cashed out 4 years later on their 4-year contract with $9-something billion. And then he's in Dubai at a Tony Robbins. Now, here's another key clue I just left. He's in Dubai at a Tony Robbins event with a guy named Dave. I won't say his last name. Dave, and he introduced him to my current mentor, and he said, listen, you're trying to build a gaming platform. These guys already have that. He's got about $300 million into the development. You guys should just do a JV. They put the deal together. On the way back from Dubai, they called me and 20 other people, and we were in the room, as John Maxwell likes to say. I was in the room. Right. They called me. I came out. They explained what GALA was going to be. Back then, it wasn't even called GALA, actually, when we launched the company. But they're like, we've got this.
Insider information. We all know GALA Games. Yeah. What was it being called back then?
Oh, man. What was the name of it back then? I still have the T-shirt, actually. I just saw it yesterday. I'll think of it. It was called... Man, give me a minute. I'll think.
It's all good.
Yeah, I'll think of it in a few minutes here. Man, now it's
20 people in the room.
20 people in the room. They're like, we're going to launch this. I stayed up with Mike McCarthy, who is the main developer for Farmville. He and I had a really good bond. Everybody in the room. Matter of fact, everybody that was in that room, 17 of us, all still talk, and we all still launch all these new blockchains under the umbrella. But that day, I bought 10 software nodes for $10,000 from GALA. I wasn't a gamer. I hadn't played a video game since Donkey Kong or Tetris.
Right.
So I was like, man, I'm not really a gamer.
What's a software node, though, for people who
Perfect.
don't understand?
So with hardware mining, which is crypto, right? When you have a miner, you have a lot of electrical costs. You have your miner is outdated usually every 6 months on average. And you have a lot of electrical costs, and it's terrible for the environment. So they develop this ecosystem. Really, if you're really gonna expand and you're gonna grow, and if you want to escalate and just exponentially grow, you had to come up with a better ecosystem. So what they did was come up with software nodes, which are in the cloud, but they still have shared distribution. They're borrowing your computing power at your house, so it's a software node license is what it is. It's not just a node. You're buying the software license. That software node license will, at that point, because you have it uploaded on your computer, it shares that data, and you'll get a digital reward just for doing that every 7 days a week. So when I got started, I bought 10 software node licenses. And I was like, all right, I'm not really a gamer. It's not really my thing. I didn't really know how big these guys really were because I'm not in that world. But I was like, I'm dividing and conquering over multiple blockchains. So I'd already invested in other ones as well. I was like, let me just throw this at it and see how it goes. And and Eric's 50/50 partner, my good friend, would call me and he's like, hey man, we're getting ready to launch. Have you looked in your back office? I was like, I don't even know how to look in my back office. That was like a year ago, because COVID had hit, right? And when COVID hit, I jumped on a flight with two of my buddies. We went to Mexico and we started manufacturing medical gowns, and we had contracts with Johnson & Johnson and just did really well. So I was making really good money. And I was like, man, he kept calling me, look in your back office. I was like, I don't even know how to get in my back office. He goes, you need to get in your back office. So he called me 3 days later. He wanted to see what I was making so I'd be more involved. So finally I got on the computer, figured out how to get my back office, and I looked in there and had like $258,000. I'm like, what the freak?
Right.
And he goes, no, we haven't even launched. We're launching in the next 45 days. Wait till then. Sure enough, and that was when GALA was less than a penny. Then it took off. It went to 3 cents, a nickel, 25 cents, 62 cents. I pulled out millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the story. You know the run because you came in right after me.
No, 100%. Like those of you, who've been following me for some time, Billy Womack, we call him Billy Woe on Instagram. You don't mind if I
BILLYWO.
Yes. Billy Woe on Instagram. He helped launch GALA Games nodes.
Yep.
Now, my claim to fame when it comes to GALA, we were arguing about this.
We were arguing. You had a couple of cocktails.
I had a couple of cocktails in me.
It was actually a funny story.
It was very funny.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That was so funny.
Yeah, what the?
We were, while he's getting adjusted, we were talking the other night, and we had some people saying, oh, you launched GALA. Oh, my goodness, you launched GALA. And he goes, well, I was there, too. I launched it, too. And I was like, yeah, well, I launched it day one, and I got in early. Yeah, I mean, I did, too. I mean, I was like, oh, sorry.
He's like, you weren't in that 20.
You weren't in that 20. You weren't in that room with 20 of us.
But what I meant was I was the first YouTube influencer, crypto influencer, and anybody can vouch for me, that brought GALA Games nodes to YouTube. There was no other influencer talking about it.
But there's hardly anybody really talking about it.
Exactly. But, I got it pretty early, but he did help launch. But we were arguing about that the other night. I had some cocktails. What is he talking about?
And then like 30 minutes later, he realized what he was saying. He goes, no, listen, all due respect, because we by this time we have some people sitting around us. So we have some people sitting around us, and he goes, no, really. I mean, he is kind of the GOAT. I'm just saying I was the influencer online, but I mean, he still launched the company.
Right, yeah. Nah, you got to put your ego aside, because when you know that there's an expert in the room in a specific field, you got to put your ego aside and understand that you can learn from people like that. And
and the people that were standing around us, they sit there and they told me the next day, they're like, I learned so much just by listening to the conversations that you and I were having. And, I tell people, listen, I'm not an expert. I've been in blockchain now almost 9 years, 8.5 years. And when people are like, what do you think about this split and this, I said, I have no effing clue.
Right.
And they're like, I thought you were the expert. I said, no, make no mistake. I'm an expert in what I do. I said, a lot of people know a lot of information about 50 things, but they're not an expert in their field. I said, I think that's the difference, because I took the time to really just hone in on my skill set, which was raising capital, doing sales, and then put that together with the expert that they came to me. And I was very fortunate. Here's a funny story. When we launched GALA, I called almost every friend in Tampa. You got to get involved. You got to get involved. And you know what they told me? No. They're only $1,000. They're probably not worth anything. No, we'll wait.
Right.
We'll wait and see what you do. When GALA hit $6,000 a node, they started coming. And then they started seeing my wallet and all the money I was making, and they're like, now we want to get involved. And they started buying nodes at 6,000 plus. But those people still made $200,000 to $300,000 with me.
They did, but that's the funny psychology about people. They don't want to buy something when it's still low in price.
Yeah.
it needs to go up higher for them to buy it.
Yeah.
And I'll never understand that.
Yeah.
So you started off with GALA.
Yep.
Start off with the S7 miners. Got to GALA.
Well, we didn't get to GALA. All right, so let me preface that. So what happened was the individual that's 50-50 partners with Eric, he had already built this ecosystem. Mm-hmm. And GALA was just one vertical, but they wanted to have their own separate. They didn't want to be part of the ecosystem. They wanted to do their own thing, which is great. So they went on to do their own thing. The ecosystem was still here. So we have multiple, right now we've got about 15 to 20 different blockchains simultaneously we're building out. One of them being Switch, which launches here pretty soon. So Switch, switchblackcard.com. I tell people all the time, if you took 10 nodes and you made 10 million, and would you buy more nodes or less? Well, I bought a lot more.
Yeah, for sure.
Hundreds and hundreds more. And so across all of our different blockchains, we have a great one in the medical field called Galvin. Actually, I don't even want to say the names of all of them right now, just for the sake of.
Let's just highlight.
Highlight what they do.
Yeah.
So in the medical.
And real quick.
Yep.
Before we go on with Galvin, this episode is brought to you by SKC Live, straight out of Vegas.
Straight out of Vegas, my home city now.
Exactly.
I actually, when we were driving over, I could walk to my
literally
my high rise from here. I got a high rise here, but I'm building a. Matter of fact, we should take a tour over there.
Yeah, let's do it.
But crypto allowed me to build this very beautiful home that we're building right now.
The beautiful thing about what we do, Billy, is we help people change their lives, right?
Ooh, that's a great segment right there. Segmentation.
And I really feel like people who have that type of integrity and, we come from the bottom. You know what I'm saying?
Came from nothing.
Exactly. I came from nothing too. So we know what it's like.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
We know what it's like not having anything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then we know what it's like to have a nice vehicle, Benz, BMW, not get any looks.
Yeah.
And now you're in the Bentley coupes and everybody's like, So.
And let's, a lot of people think, going to get an expensive car, they're like, oh man, let me make a little bit of money so I could go get a loan and get a car. You and I talked about that. I waited till I could pay for 35 Bentleys cash before I went and got my Bentley. So make sure you don't overextend yourself trying to look rich.
100%.
There's so many people that will try to do that. I with the money I had in my account, I was still scared to go get a $300,000 car, and I had enough to buy 35 of them cash. So just be responsible, because when you're grinding and you're trying to get to this level, the only responsible thing to do, reinvest. Whatever it is that's making you that money, get to a certain point of having sustainable revenue coming in. And then I started creating 3 levels of revenue. So what I mean by that was I would take the revenue stream off this, I would put it into another investment. I would take that revenue, put it in another one, and then I would live on the dividends of my 3rd level down. 100%. So that's the difference is when you're around wealthy people, they don't make money to go spend it at the mall and get these purses or these shoes, high end, and that's great and that's fine. But if you're a builder, if you're an entrepreneur, put that money back in whatever industry you're in. I've been very blessed that crypto has allowed a certain lifestyle for me. But most importantly, my number one goal when I was going through there, people always says, when are you going to be happy? What makes you happy? Mm-hmm. The answer that was one answer is straightforward and it's very easy for me, and that was helping my family. So what happened was when I got started, I was flying around on private jets. I was doing all these things. I was in Dubai. I was all over the world. But my family wasn't. My family was still living paycheck to paycheck, because that's where we come from. And I try to explain different things, and they're like, no, I don't know. Finally, 2 Thanksgivings ago, because I go home every Thanksgiving, I see my family. I said, listen, you guys have got to sit down as a family. That's the only time I got to see them year round. Yeah. I said, and I'd like to teach you. And finally, they all said yes. My nieces.
Well, because they see the money now.
They see the money. It's one thing to talk about. It's another thing when I can open up my account. I think you saw my account.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Yes, he showed me a couple million.
Well, yeah. One of my accounts.
We're speaking modestly here, you know. He got to show me a lot more of accounts. And just so you know, Billy has a beautiful watch on his wrist.
Oh.
You know, the Cartier, you know. So if you were here in person, you would see it. But, yeah, you know, sometimes family, friends, people who don't know us, they need to see something.
Yeah, and so what happened was they came to me with 5, 10, 15 grand. Mm-hmm. That's all they had. And that's what a lot of people, when they come to me, because I mentor people in crypto, and they're like, this is all I have to start. I said, no problem. It makes the process longer, but I can still help you.
100%.
I've got guys that now come to me with $1 million plus, 500,000 on a weekly basis. I get people from 75,000 to 300,000 that come to me now. Like, hey, that makes my job easier, quicker, better to help them. So they came to me, and by that next year, that next Thanksgiving, 1 year later, every single person in my family that participated had over $300,000 liquid cash in their account. Mm. The next Thanksgiving, every single person in my family had over 1 million liquid in their accounts.
So when you come to Thanksgiving now,
oh, yeah.
What's the response like? It's got to be like
Uncle Billy.
Exactly.
Uncle Billy.
It's like you had the AMG and now you're the Rolls Royce now coming up to the
That's for my birthday. But my family's not into material things. They're the most humble. You know, I'm definitely the most extravagant person in my family, and number one, I live in Vegas, but I've always been that hungry entrepreneur.
Right.
Everybody else in my family, they love life, which is great. They love God, which is even better, and they love just being together. And I love all of those things. Don't get me wrong, but I also have that thirst for more
100%.
Because I have a daughter. My daughter's 24, but I wanted to provide different things for my daughter that I wasn't able to do, you know, or for my grandson. I just had a grandson 2 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Shout out to Eli in Florida. So my little grandson, this will be the first time he's ever been.
Eli.
Shout
out to Eli. No, I have a daughter too. So
you know what's really cool? I'll tell this real quick, and I want to hear yours. He doesn't know this yet, but by the time this is edited and put out there.
Yep.
So as we grow, we always want to prepare our family. And I used to think, all right, I'm going to do this for my daughter. I'm going to do that for my daughter. But my grandson's 2 weeks old, so we made a decision the other day. I'm putting in a trust. I'm buying a house for my 3-week-old. I'm putting in a trust. So my 3-week-old grandson will have that. But my daughter, and my daughter's only 24, her and her husband. So they're
keyword trust.
A trust, yes. A real estate trust. So we're going to have this house put in there, and now my daughter and her husband will get to live in this brand new house for the next 18 years or 20 years until he's old enough to take it over. But it's really cool, the opportunities that arise when you get in here and you circle yourself around the people. You're always got to level up, and that starts with coming to events like Breathe.
Yes.
Shout out to Breathe. And that's where, you know, I didn't even know you were coming to the event. I sit on. It's funny, the lady who created Breathe.
Yeah.
Sean. Shout out to Sean. I spoke to her when I first moved to Vegas. We met at a award ceremony, and she's like, "Oh my goodness, how are you?" Became really good friends. She goes, "What do you do?" I said, I'm a blockchain specialist in the node arena. She goes, I don't know anything about blockchain or anything. Right. So now to be sit on the I was so honored when they called me to sit on the advisory board and to be a main speaker at this event. She goes, you're part of the reason this whole thing exists, because you know when they invited me to dinner, her and Stormy.
Yeah. And
I was like, so honored to watch them grow, and that's so exciting to watch all these people grow.
Yeah.
But I didn't mean to cut you off. I want to hear what you're going to say about your daughter.
No, all I was saying, you know, I can sympathize with that because I have a daughter.
Yeah.
And she's 8. And
8. Wow.
Shout out to Berkeley.
Yeah.
And you know, we just want to we do what we do, strive to be the best, so that we can actually pass on the inheritance.
Right.
And
the right way.
Yeah, the right way, exactly. Yeah. And you know, crypto, blockchain technology has changed my life, and I was able to take that knowledge that I've learned, because they always say knowledge equals power, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't have the knowledge, then you damn sure won't have the power.
And I'm going to touch on that, because when I got started, I highly encourage anybody that's watching this, listening to this. When I got started, the guy was smart enough to tell me basic information that would change the trajectory of my life, my family's life, and everyone that knows me, including this studio where we're at today. Every single person that's a real friend of mine now has software nodes.
Yes.
Everyone. You know why? Because I care enough about my friends. I want to see them succeed. And I tell them, I'm not leaving here until I add value enough that you're like so blessed in your life. And it means that much to me. So Brian, the owner of STK or SKC, I'm sorry.
STK.
I'm thinking food.
You know, hey, you know he's thinking he's hungry.
So Brian, Bo, my whole family, everybody in my family. If you go to Resorts World, the guy that runs Resorts World, or excuse me, Circa, Richard buys nodes from me. If you go to Barry's Steakhouse down there, they buy nodes from me. If you go to Aria, to Ketch, the general manager, they buy nodes from me. The servers, the bottle poppers.
Well, I'm going to all these places. I'm like, yeah, I know Billy Womack. Look at the picture right here. I know.
Yeah.
Billy. Yeah. No, but that's what it's about. It's about sharing the wealth, sharing the knowledge, and helping people, elevate within blockchain and crypto. And so you've been doing that, and I feel like when you run into people who are aligned with that same frequency, and we're doing the same things, but in our different ways in different areas, it is about the reciprocation of helping people, and it just comes back full circle, which is why, we meet each other at events like this, and, we help other people elevate. Now, okay, you've conquered the node game, right? I know there's Galvin, there's Switch. Now, how can the average person who's watching this get into nodes? Like, what's the step? Okay, I have $1,000, Billy. How can you help me?
That's gonna be tough.
So what does the average person need?
Well, the average person has a little bit more than 1,000, but most of the people that come see me, let's just say the average low end that come see me.
Talk about the underdog.
The underdogs with, the cheapest nodes on average that we have is about $2,500. So I tell them, how important is your future? Stop going to Starbucks 4 times a day.
Yeah, stop buying weed.
I didn't say that, he did. I'm not a smoker, but I know that's
I
like high up there for
either.
people. Yeah,
I know how much people can spend on weed.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Or the brand new Louis purse, or the brand new
Jordans, or whatever.
I mean, if you gave up 2 of those items and you set yourself up. Now, financial disclaimer: I can't ever say what the nodes or tokens would turn into.
Of course.
And
do your own research.
Do your own research. Future earnings do not dictate past earnings. 100%. I have to say that because when people look at my story, they're like, if I get a node, I'm going to be rich. That's not the case. All blockchains are not created equal.
100%.
Now, one of the things I would say, though, the blockchains under our ecosystem that I work with now, I'm an independent contractor, and I like to be an independent contractor because I get to pick and choose which blockchains to work with, which ones, and I have such a good relationship with everybody on our team, from the CEOs all the way down. But with anything, we have one blockchain that I invested in a couple of years. It hasn't launched yet. It's about to finally, but most of the other ones, right when I got started, they all launched pretty quick. But some may take longer than others to happen. So they're not always built equally, but we have a very good checks and balances system to help push that through. And I've been very blessed to work with some ridiculously smart people. I am just, it's funny, the other day, a couple people from corporate told me, you're the face of what we do, whether you want to be or not. So you got to kind of stay in between the lines. Not that I wasn't, but,
right.
They're always watching over me. And I love that because, there's no set way of saying things and not saying things in this realm because we're such early adapters. So you kind of, it's very tough sometimes because you want to share some things, but SEC out there is like, you can't say that. Yes. Well, what can I say? Well, we're not going to tell you what you can and can't say, but we'll let you know if you do say something that you can't say. So it's a moving target at all times, and you try to do the right things and you try to say the right things. All I can tell you is the years that I've been involved, I can't tell you how many traders have came to me that have lost money, their families lost money, hundreds of thousands of dollars in money or millions, and then they come to me, Billy, we've heard about you. We've heard about what you guys do. and we want to know a little bit more about software nodes. I said, I can't make you any financial promises. All I can tell you is I've had success. And if you get in early enough and these things ever go to a market, I'm not saying that they will, but we try to have enough utility, whether they ever hit an exchange or not, that it's valuable. That's really the key to this, is having utility behind your blockchain
utility.
project. Yes.
And let me say something to all you traders out there. Now, if you come across me or Mr. Billy Womack and you talk about, oh, yeah, I've been in crypto since 2009. Oh, I'm a trader. We're going to look at you like you're crazy. Because really, even Warren Buffett proved this with his bet against that trader. He said, I will bet you that I make more money just investing. And over time, I will generate more money than you, and I'll bet you $1 million. Of course, the trader lost. Traders don't make a lot of money. Yeah. These nodes having nodes, owning node licenses is you're printing digital rewards. And I don't think people even understand the concept.
I wouldn't use the word printing just for SEC, everything else.
Yes.
What I would say is this. Every day that you have a software node online, that's the key. You have to have the node online. It has a responsibility. That responsibility is it's sharing its computer energy to the network, right? And that network will reward you with a digital reward. Those digital rewards, our job as blockchain companies is to have value and have utility, whether it ever hits an exchange or not. That is the secret recipe of a true blockchain that really has full utility. If people get involved with software nodes saying, I'm going to get rich because this token is going to hit 50 cents, you're doing it for the wrong mindset. You're not educated the right way, and that's not what we do.
Now, just to segue real quick, and that's the purpose of talking to experts, because experts will tell you things like that. And I've had conversations offline with Billy, and he's blown my mind. Now, I'm going to ask him this question here because I want him to blow your mind, and we would love for you to come and breathe with us at the conference in September. So shout out to Breathe. Yep. But I've asked you on the phone, what is the difference between these software nodes, like a GALA node, versus these nodes that tell you, oh, we're going to pay you 0.25 of this token every day?
Oh, yes. Wait, sorry, go ahead.
Now, why is that a scam? Like,
no, a percentage. I thought you were going to say a percentage.
Well, you know, they'll give you.
They're going to pay you. Anybody that tells you they're going to pay you 0.00 X amount of money per day, and I get them daily, weekly. They come up. They're like, well, what are you going to pay me? What's my ROI? I can't tell you that because, number one, it's illegal. Anybody that tells you what they're going to pay you, what you're going to receive monetarily for getting involved in their project on blockchain, it's illegal. Period. There's no and ifs or buts. The SEC will say that. They're like, well, my friend, great. There's not enough room to put me between you and your friend because I'm running the other way.
Right.
What I can tell you is our whole motto is blockchain with a purpose. We're out here to change the world. We have a contract. I'll give you one example of how we're doing that. We have a contract with Applebit, Fitbit, Google, but this is just one of our blockchains. And it monitors your heart rate. Obviously, it's wearable. You go to the gym and work out. We're incentivizing you to go get healthy. And when you do, we're going to give you a digital reward. You can use that digital reward for all kinds of things, whether it's ever on an exchange or not. We have another one, Switch, which I'm super excited about. Switch is one that it's going to be an exchange. It's going to have buy it, sell it, store it, save it, but then it's also going to have a live customer support on the blockchain.
Can we show them what Switch looks like?
There we go. Switch.
Yes.
Yep.
Just so you can see it.
Yep. That one, and we've got some veterans that run that, and they're amazing. These guys have done so much work to put these things into perspective, and they just.
What's the website?
Switchblackcard.com. Go set up a free wallet. Absolutely. And we've got so many other amazing blockchains out there, and they're just amazing.
Switchblackcard.com.
Yeah, go set up a free wallet. It will be one of the biggest competitors in the United States for exchanges in the United States. Yep,
Boom, there. Right there.
Yep, that's it. So
is that a metal black card or what?
well, the betas are not metal yet, but I hear that that could be changing.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't want to speak on behalf of Switch because I am not Switch, I am not Galvin, I'm not any of these blockchains. I don't represent to be any of these blockchains. I am an independent contractor with a lot of different blockchains.
Nice.
So they have to check different checks and balances for me to work with them. I've been very blessed to work under the ecosystem with them, and I absolutely love these guys and love what they're doing. I love. We've got so many different ones. You know, if you can imagine changing the world, you've got to say, what's the problem? What's the solution? We build it out, and then we bring nodes to an existence so people can start gathering these digital rewards. And now you're going to be able to use those digital rewards, whether they're ever worth anything, on different projects within the ecosystem.
Wow. I mean, I think, and I know I'm speaking as a node owner from many different ecosystems that I've invested in. Nodes are something that will be here forever.
They're changing the world.
Yes. And it's changed my life.
And very few, and let me say this, very few people in crypto know anything about nodes.
They don't. You don't know what you don't know.
There's less than 2% in the world that even know what Bitcoin is. Less than 1% of that know what miners are, and less than 1/4% know what I do.
We were at dinner the other day, and when you left, everybody kept coming. Who is this Billy Womack? Do you know him? I said, yeah, I know Billy. I know Billy. Yeah. And they were like, what's this node stuff has been blowing my mind. Yeah. And people are in crypto, and they don't have a clue about this. So we know it's levels to this. Yeah. So my question to you is, knowing that there's levels to this, how does somebody get to a Billy Womack level?
Oh, wow. Are you talking Monterey?
Well, I mean, we're talking figuratively. We're talking, just in general.
Well, number one, you got to find your passion. What's your passion? My passion was helping people, right? My other passion was, obviously, you can't help others unless you make money. So you got to make money for yourself first. And I tell people all the time, money's not the most important thing, but it's like air. Try to live without it. Breathe. We guys were given a lot of hype to Breathe because we're at their convention right now. So a lot of punt intended to go toward Breathe convention.
100%. Shout out to Breathe. And I'm sure we can use Breathe as one of our sponsors for this episode.
Yeah. So what I encourage people to do is, number one, you have to be, I can't tell you how many doctors, attorneys, entrepreneurs, like I said, my dentist, the person at the shop that fixes my Bentley, not that it needs fixed, it's brand new, but they do some customization for me. Right. They own nodes. Every single person I come in contact with, I care enough. Even if there's a stranger, they ask me, "What do you do?" I say, "I help people understand blockchain so we can change the world." I lead with purpose, and is there monetary value behind that? I hope so. I mean, I don't lead with that, but has it done really well for me? Absolutely. But you can't chase money. Money is very elusive, and this is something very, very big to understand. Is I always dreamt about being a millionaire because I can remember us growing up and seeing somebody drove a Mercedes, and I was like, I wonder what they do. They're rich. Right. They're rich. I remember a good month. If we ever had a good month in school, a month, not a week, we get to go to KFC. That was our treat. Or we had this it's called Parlor Pizza in Fort Smith, Arkansas, or something like that. I don't even remember the name of it. But we would we get to go out and eat. We had no money. I think the house I grew up in was $13,000, not square feet, dollars. So I don't come from money. But now I'm building an 8,000 square foot house right here in Vegas.
Yeah. So you got to give a round of applause for that. You know what I'm saying? Because when you can see the underdogs rising to the big dogs, and then they're also trying to help people at the same time.
And even the big dogs are now coming to me for education.
Of course, because they don't know what we know. And that's the beauty about being an expert in a field. Because once you specialize, all of the other people, and once you know the world is moving in this direction, they have to go to the people who are in the know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
And they don't node.
yes, they don't node. You don't node.
You know, I went from being broke to this year. We'll be deploying, and you were in the last meeting I just had, deploying 35 million of my own money this year into projects, and most of them blockchain related, most of them. But we've got some really cool, innovative blockchain projects that we're doing. You know, we're always meeting new entrepreneurs and of how we can do this. But how do people get started? Well, you got to have at least $2,500+. They can hit me up on BILLY Billy Woe on Instagram. Please, if you're going to do that and you're watching this video, please say Brando, or we'll figure out a link, or we'll figure something out, because listen, let me tell you, the hard work that he's put into building this platform, he needs to get compensated, and I want to make sure that happens. So please honor him and the whole system of how this. It's not going to take any money out of your pocket. He gets paid. The money's there either way. It needs to go to him. So I'd like to reward.
Bigger Than Race.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Bigger Than Race. Put it in there. Hit up Billy Woe. Can you pull up Billy Woe on Instagram for us? Yeah. Just so the people can see it and get a live visual. And they can actually see the car at the same time. Yeah. But, you know, it's honestly, man, this has been a joy just to be able to see the transformation in a lot of people's lives in regard to what nodes can do, and just crypto and blockchain at large, you know. And I always find it fascinating to meet and connect with people like you, because you bring legitimacy to our space and industry, because you're somebody that has a proven track record.
Right.
I remember when I got introduced to you by Brian. We're at his studio, SKC Live in Vegas. Yep. And he said, "Oh, yeah, I know this guy, Billy Womack. He's the one that helped launch GALA." I said, "Billy Womack? I ain't never heard no damn Billy Womack, and I know some shit." And then he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna call him in." I said, "Yeah, please call him, because I want to meet him. You know what I mean? Maybe I can learn some stuff that I didn't know." And Billy showed up, pulled up. Billy Blue Eyes, what they call him, you know. And then he just broke out this sheet of paper and just broke it all down. And I still have that sheet of paper in my closet. Broke it all down, you know, and just listening to him and understanding his vision and how he sees the node game just opened my eyes up, and honestly helped me take my node game to the next level.
Because you're getting ready to do some other blockchains with us.
Yeah, no, we're gonna do some things with Billy. We're in the process of doing a lot of different things, man. Like, you guys know, I have my hands in a lot of different places, and I'm in Vegas. I'm touching on all kind of things, you know. But yeah, we're gonna do some things with Billy. And there's his Instagram right there. Oh, yeah. What does it say? What's the description on your Instagram?
Launched GALA Games, turned 15,000 into 10 million with nodes, helping people make 7 figures crypto nodes. Click the link. There's BillyWomack.com. Yeah.
Now, I have a friend that is a GALA node holder. He has about 50, and currently,
if you scroll down, you'll see me and Pete Rose right there on the right. Yeah, Pete. Right? Nope, to the right there. Yeah, Pete Rose is my neighbor.
See. Yeah. $100,000 a month. So this stuff is real, but we're talking about in digital rewards. Yeah. Digital rewards. So all I can say for people, anybody who's watching this video, is to know that there are things out here that can really help elevate you, as long as you're willing to invest in yourself, invest in your future, and to take a risk. Billy Womack took a risk. I took a risk. We take risk every day. We take risk by driving our cars, going to work. But how many of us really take risk and betting on our future selves?
Educated guess. Educated risk.
Educated risk.
And let me add on to that. If you're going to take a risk, find somebody making the kind of money that you want to make. Find that vertical, find that passion, and say, listen, this is where I want to be. I want to be worth 6 figures, or multiple 6 figures, or 7 figures, or I just want to. I've got this doctor in Orlando, and he was trying to trade, and I won't say his name. He'll be watching this. He always watches all of my podcasts and everything I do, and he's like, "Man, listen, I tried trading. I've lost my ass, and I seen what you're doing. I'm burnt. I can't tell you how many people come to me, literally 2 or 3 a week, say, I got burned in this, I got burned in that, all in crypto space. I need your help." And now testimonials of mine are just da-da-da-da-da-da, where I've taken them and helped them and showed them and given them stuff. I've got a doctor here in Vegas, same thing. I lost $400,000. This guy guaranteed me trading. The lady that cuts my hair, Nikki, said the same thing. I've lost $350,000 in trade. All these people lost hundreds of thousands of dollars of trading. I'm not telling you can't be successful in trading. I'm not knocking the traders out there. What I am telling you is what I do is a lot safer. It's for the average person to get involved, and it could turn out even better. It has for me and everyone I know. I can't guarantee anything on any level, but what I can tell you, it's changed a lot of lives. Find something or someone in the industry you want to be in, whether it's crypto or not crypto, but this is a crypto channel, so I think we're talking to you, and dive in. Start something small, say, I've got to get started with this, and just get started. Procrastination kills every dream alive.
100%. This has been a fantastic episode. I'm glad that we got this under our belt.
Yeah.
And maybe we can do a part 2 come September.
He says that because I've got a couple of investments that are getting ready to come to fruition, and that's going to take the net worth to a whole different level.
Well, I think that will be the right timing for all of that. And, this was just a prelude to what we got coming for you. There's going to be a whole lot more conversations. A lot of people like Billy Womack, who are experts in their field. Now, I just want to give a special shout out again to our sponsors, SKC Live. Shout out to the Breathe Conference that will be in Las Vegas, September 12th.
That I'll be speaking at.
Yes, he'll be speaking at.
If I'm not in Tokyo, but I should be speaking.
I'll be speaking there. Yep. I ain't going to be in Tokyo. The closest I'll get to Asian food is at a restaurant. But, yes. But, Rags to Crypto Riches, we're here to just bring you value by talking to people who have made it from rags to crypto riches. Yeah. Billy Womack, Brando Murphy. Bigger Than Race.
Thank you for having me.
We are out. No, I appreciate you having me in Vegas. Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh.
We made it in time.
We did make it. But investigate truth on your own terms.